Hi guys, and welcome back to Beauty Fortified. If you are familiar with the MAC brand, you might know about their Back to MAC program, which is sadly coming to the end of its natural life at the end of March this year. And that is applicable in South Africa as well as the US, and I think it's probably applicable globally as well. So what is the MAC Back to MAC program? It's a program whereby you can take 6 empty containers back to your MAC counter and you can exchange them for a free lipstick of your choice. Now, because they are discontinuing the Back to MAC program, I have been through my makeup collection and I wanted to make the most of the program before it ends at the end of March. And so I've been through all my makeup and I've been quite ruthless, and I've been trying to gather up a whole lot of empties as well as makeup that I don't reach for, so that I can take it back to MAC and get a couple of free lipsticks. So as I say, I have been through everything that includes things that I just don't reach for anymore. And so I thought I'd take you through it. This will be a kind of MAC empties video and let you know what I'm going to be exchanging for a lipstick for one last time, as the program does end on the 31st of March this year. So without further ado, I have got a whole bag of MAC, not only empties, but things that I just don't reach for. So starting off with a bronzer. Now this was part of a summer collection a couple of years ago. It really is a beautiful bronzer. I love the texture. It comes in a compact with a mirror, but unfortunately the shade is just too red and too dark for my complexion. So this one is going back to MAC. And then I have got a couple of blushes. The first one is called Copper Tone. It is in the current range, and this one I have found has just been a little bit too dark and a little bit too orange for my skin. I haven't reached for this for years, so this one is going out. Another MAC blush that I haven't reached for literally for years as well. This is in the shade Peachy Keen. It is a lovely, I think this is a frost blush. It really is beautiful, but I just find that this color is too ruddy for my complexion. So I did used to use it quite a lot back in the day, and I'm talking about a good few years ago. So I have hit pan on it, but this one's going out. It's just not one that I currently reach for. And then another MAC blush. This is a limited edition blush. It came out a good few years ago. It's called Make You Mine, and they describe it as a kind of salmony beige color, and it is really nice, and I do remember loving this at the time. But I have found again that this is now just a little bit too ruddy for my complexion and just a little bit too red, so that one is going out. I have one of the Glow Play blushes that I'm going to be taking back. Now, I love the Glow Play cream blushes. They're some of my favorite cream blushes. This one I have is in the shade Heat Index. So it really is a very, very bright pink. It does look quite wow in the pan, but when you apply it to your cheeks, it really does give you just a beautiful rosy, glowy flush of color. I was in two minds about whether to part with this or not. It isn't one that I reach for all that often. I do have other really bright pink blushes that do a very, very similar job. But in my quest for finding as many empties as I possibly could, I decided that I'd probably part ways with this one because it just isn't one that I reach for. But I really do love the Glow Play blushes. I love the texture, the color payoff. They really are superb. And then an empty that I have is the MAC Blot Pressed Powder Empty. Now, I used to use these all the time, and I have subsequently found some drugstore options which are a lot cheaper, but this powder is really good for blotting oily combination skin throughout the day, and it does come in a lovely compact with a mirror, so I would recommend them. But it's just, there are some really good drugstore dupes. The one that I'm using at the moment is the Maybelline Fit Me powder for normal combination skin, and I really love that, and it's probably 1/6 of the price of the MAC powder. And then I've got some eyeshadows, and MAC, generally their eyeshadows are really good, but sometimes you do get a formulation that is a little bit of a dud, and you also get some colors. Well, I've had some of these for a really long time, for many years, and they were colors that I probably wore when I was quite a bit younger, and they're not colors that I reach for anymore. So the first one I have is called Antiqued. It is currently in their range, and it is a kind of metallic, very rich brown shade. And I used to love this. It really is gorgeous for green eyes. It really makes them pop. But unfortunately, what's happened with age is that I have to be very, very careful about the amount of red in an eyeshadow, because if there's too much red, my eyes will come off as being a little bit tired looking, looks like I haven't had enough sleep. It's just something in the red shadows that picks up something in my eyes, and I could wear them when I was younger, but I just can't any longer. And unfortunately, Antiqued has got just a little bit too much red in it, but it was a shadow that I loved back in the day. Another shadow that I'm getting rid of, this is in the shade Embark. I do have a backup of this. This is a beautiful crease color. It's quite a warm brown, but it blends absolutely beautifully. But this one I have found just had one of those textures where it forms a layer over the eyeshadow, and then I do scratch the layer off and I'm able to use the shadow, and then the layer kind of comes back again. So not sure what's up with this, but it is an old one. I have had it for a number of years, so I'm getting rid of that one. And then a couple of others. I've got another shadow here. This is called Coppering. It's still in the current collection. And again, this one has got just a little bit too much orange in it, I would say, for my liking. So there it is on the back of my hand. The one at the top is Antique, the one below it is Coppering, and it's just not one that I reach for regularly, so I've decided to take it back. And then I have a beautiful crease color. This is in the shade Swiss Chocolate. It's one of the very well-known MAC eyeshadows, and I have had this for many years, and when I say many years, I'm a little bit too embarrassed to even tell you how many years I've had this for. And I really did love this back in the day as well. It was a gorgeous crease shade. But again, it has proved to be a little bit too red for me as I've gotten a little bit older. So there it is underneath Coppering. I don't think you can really pick up on the red on camera, but it definitely does pull a little bit red, and I have to be very careful, as I say, about wearing anything with a hint of red on my lids. So that one is going back. And then I have an empty here, and this is in the shade Sable. Nothing left of that, but Sable is one of my favorite MAC shadows. I've never found a dupe for it. I do have a backup, and that one unfortunately is used down to the last bit. And then a couple of other shadows that I have here. This one, it's one of the luster shadows, and it's called Green Smoke, and I think it is currently still in the collection. And it looks absolutely beautiful. I really fell in love with this at first sight because I am a fan of green eyeshadow. But this never worked for me. The color payoff was dismal. And again, it kind of forms a film on the top of the shadow, which you have to keep on scraping off. And again, as I say, the color payoff just wasn't all that. So unfortunately, I'm getting rid of that one. And then another shadow that I've hit pan on, this is Quarry. It's a kind of taupey, pinky shade. It's absolutely beautiful. I've got a backup of this. I can't be without this. It's probably one of my top 5 MAC shadows. But I'm parting with this because it's also dried up just a little bit in the pan. But this is a beautiful transition shade. It's gorgeous. In the crease or just over the entire lid as a one and done shadow. I'm going to swatch it for you. It is really quite blendable. It does come out quite light, so there it is over there. But it's just a gorgeous neutral. It really is just a fabulous shadow. But it's time to trade this one in because I have had it for a very long time. And then a couple of other products. I have got a paint pot that I'm going to be trading in, and this is in the shade Lay and Low. And this, I really like this. It's very similar to the shade Painterly, but as you might be able to see, it has dried up, and so really is not much use to me anymore. So that one is going out. And then I've got 2 lipsticks that have seen better days. The first one is a lipstick called Skew. Now this is in their current range. It is a beautiful lipstick. It's a pink, but it's kind of got a little bit of a duochrome to it. So I'm going to swatch it there for you on the back of my hand. It's a kind of Barbie doll pink, but it is just the most gorgeous color. It's a kind of, I wouldn't say it's a blue pink. It's got a little bit of warmth in it, but really is beautiful. But I'm right at the end of it, so that one is going to be traded in, and who knows, I might get another one of those as my freebie. And then another one I have here is called One of a Kind, and this was a limited edition, and it was a gorgeous nude back in the day, but it just doesn't really do anything for me. So again, with my complexion, I've got to be very careful about the shade of the nudes that I wear, and this one I found just really didn't do it. I think it had a little bit too much brown. So guys, those are all my MAC empties and MAC products I no longer reach for that I'm taking back to the Back to MAC program, or to the store for the program to get a free lipstick. So at last count, I did have 18 items, so I should be able to get 3 lipsticks. So very excited about that. I guess it's a little bit of money saved and getting rid of things that I just don't reach for. So that is the Back to MAC program, ends on the 31st of March. If you do have empties, I would get in there fast and get your free lipstick, and you've scored something. So guys, on that note, I am going to leave you with a link to my MAC playlist. I've got plenty of videos in there on my favorite eyeshadows, blushes, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.